wanna be bronzed by your clarity. I want to see those traits of fortuity. I do. I do. Move over. Give me a seat. Move over. Give me a seat on your horse and cart. You haven't changed much, so move over. La 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 da day, la da da day, la da da do be ballet, ba baby. La 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 da day, la da da day, la da da do be ballet, ba baby. Move over, yeah. Move over, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maia Von Lekow, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Move over. I heard over and over again. Who are you asking to move over?
I'm asking the older politicians who've been around to just step aside a little and let some young blood come in.
They're not going to thank you for it. How old do you think is old?
I mean, there's no age in terms of physical age. I think the old, what I mean is mentally, and old in terms of the political aspect of.
So as a young person, you're telling me that you're somewhat disappointed in the leadership that we've had, that you've lived under?
I'm slightly disappointed, I can say. I think that there are people out there who can make a change.
Right.
But I think
that's
far...
normally, Maia, that's a very easy thing to say. We want change.
This is true.
And then when you sort of say, what are your expectations? Then people sort of fizzle out and got nothing to say.
Completely.
What are your expectations as a young Kenyan? What are your expectations?
What are my expectations? I just think for me, the main thing for me is just the level of corruption and how far it goes up and how far it goes down.
Right.
And I think, for me, that's my strongest, one of my strongest anyway.
Right. Well, we might return.
Changes.
Yes, we might return to politics later. But for the time being, let's look at Maia, the musician. A long career, young as you are. Have you had spans years, decades?
No, I wish.
Yeah.
It's been 4 years professionally now.
Right.
Self-taught, playing guitar and singing.
Right. So self-taught, does that mean that you're the kind of person who just went somewhere, picked up a guitar, and taught yourself how to play this instrument? You taught yourself.
I did.
Right.
I was playing with a jazz cover band in Nairobi for about a year.
Right.
And I then realized, I just don't want to do this anymore, and I don't want to sing other people's songs.
Right.
So then started writing, and at that time, of course, you don't really think that you can write. You're a little bit insecure.
Right.
And then started writing, and I wasn't playing guitar at that point.
Right.
And I can't remember how I started playing guitar.
Right.
But then I picked it up one day, and I think I looked at a YouTube video and tried to figure out how to do something.
Right.
And even now, I mean, you asked me to play the B flat major. I have no idea what I'm playing. I just find the chords that I like.
Do you find that is going to be a limitation? Is that a regret?
For sure.
Right.
I don't think it's a regret. I think it's just a challenge to the next step. It's just learning that little extra and putting time and effort into to doing that.
Would you accuse me of knowing nothing about anything if I said it seems to me that you're a jazz singer? Or you tend towards jazz? That's the kind of singing that you like to do.
I think tend towards jazz. I grew up on jazz. My mum was a big jazz listener.
Yeah.
And so, I used to sit in front of the stereo with all the, back in those days, you used to have the CDs with all the lyrics.
Right.
So I used to sit there in front of the CD player with all the lyrics and just go through songs.
Yes.
So jazz has definitely played a big role. I wouldn't say that I'm a jazz musician. I'd say that I dabble in between.
Right. And the career that you've had, Maia, has it taken you to Kenya, to Uganda, to Tanzania, across the globe?
It has. It's taken me to a lot of places, in East Africa especially.
Right.
We've done shows in Madagascar, we've done shows in Poland, we've done shows in Zimbabwe.
Have you been to, I'm familiar with the Busara Festival in Zanzibar.
Yes.
Have you been a Busara person?
Yes, we performed there, I think it was about 3 years ago.
Right.
Great festival, yeah.
Right. I'm talking this idea of how do you get there? You're sitting here, self-taught musician. How have you put yourself on the map?
It has been really difficult. And I think you just have to have a persistence and just some sort of a business frenzy where you're able just to figure out I don't know. I can't tell you how I've done it, and I just know that I've hustled.
Yeah.
And you're just following up, and of course, like
So
we all do it.
do you have a producer, an agent, a publicist, a minder, a PA?
Manager? No, I have none of that. I
Right.
am all of those things.
Right. For yourself.
For myself. And of course, like I'm looking, you look for booking agents, especially in other countries. You look for managers who could possibly help you. But it's really difficult. And especially now, I think in the music industry and the way that the music industry is changing so much.
Right.
Financially, it's really difficult for people to say, yes, I'll take you on board, John, and I'm going to fly you to here to do this and do that.
Right.
That doesn't happen anymore.
But we've got all these festivals where people have sort of, project this, and if you win, you get signed on to a record label. Almost invariably, it's a South African label. So isn't that a measure of success? And in some way, you failed because nobody signed you up. Is that being unkind?
No, I don't think so. I think, but in terms of being signed up now by a record label, is next to nothing, really.
Right.
In terms of, Universal and Sony and all those big guys,
yes.
They don't have the resources as to what they used to have in terms of selling albums. I mean, who buys albums now these days?
Right.
And it really, I think that the new platform is social media, downloads, all of that.
Downloads largely for free.
Downloads largely for free.
So is this just going to be a hobby? Because you're not. I mean, like most young people, maybe your family wasn't that keen that you become a musician, and now you're telling me that you're not going to make any money out of it, so they're even more unhappy. What's your response to them then?
I think there's always a way. There's always a way to make money somehow. Right. I mean, I'm not one of those people to be like, yes, I want to be famous, be like Beyonce and make however. For me, I really like doing what I do.
Right.
I'm passionate about doing what I do, and I couldn't see myself, doing anything else. In terms of having a mother who was very like, music's not going to make you money. You need to do another job. So I studied. I was I studied hotel management, and that is my profession.
Right.
And of course, like in some ways,
did you ever profess it? Did you manage a hotel?
I did profess it, and I've managed a few boutique hotels. And in some ways, I'm like, yes, my mom was right.
Yes.
But also on the other hand, I'm like, I could have spent that money putting it into my music, So of course you have both sides. Yeah. In terms of making money, I think there's a lot of different ways that you can make money now in music.
Right.
Performances, of course, is a big one. And I think also like in Kenya, people are much more aware of the financial significance that comes with a professional musician.
Right.
So in terms of finances, it was a lot better. I mean, like some bands have been playing 6-7 hours in one go, being paid whatever 5,000 shillings, 7,000. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where I think things are really changing on that board in terms of Kenyan musicians.
And on social media, have you got a sort of plan where people download your? Well, there's one question that goes before that.
Yes.
Does Maia Von Lekow actually have the album with the 13 tracks on it, which I can dash off and buy?
Yes, Maia Von Lekow has just finished, packaged an album, which actually has been sitting now in London. Yeah. So now we're getting all these, friends to bring them over. Right. CD trafficking. Yes. One batch at a time, because it's just so expensive to bring them over. Right. So Maia Von Lekow has got a 13 album track, which is just about to be launched. We're not quite sure when. Yes. And what was the other question?
The other question I was social media.
Social media.
Yes, social media. Are you playing the game of finding alternative ways of getting your music out there and getting some money for getting it out there?
I am trying. I mean, I still have like an old school Nokia telephone, and I am very old school. Yes. So when it comes to Facebook, I wouldn't have a Facebook if I wasn't advertising music. Right. But I do. I'm on it. I wouldn't say, I spoke to Kaz the other day. She's like, I detweeted you because you're not active. Yes. And it's true. I have a Twitter account. I might use it once in a blue moon. Yes. But it is getting into that because that's the way that the world's going.
Right. So you're having to adjust in the same way that we went from cassettes to CDs to DVDs, and the world's moving on.
Yeah, completely. And even now, not buying CDs, you have a download number that you download the thing, and
There's a slight interest for me, again, as a young female musician. Again, are you harassed everywhere you go? Do you have people? I mean, who looks after you? Because you're saying you're a one-woman band. Who looks after you? And what has that experience been? happy, everything's fine, you go, they treat you like a queen, and you've got no bad memories?
Not at all. I mean, of course, like when you start, you're very naive. You don't really know what to expect. So you're ready to go to Tanzania and do a gig for, just whatever amount of money.
Yeah.
And of course, over time that gets better. Instead of saying, yes, you can just put me in any hotel. I mean, the last time we were taken to Tanzania, we were put in a very shady place where there was a lot of prostitutes.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with prostitutes. I mean, everyone needs to do a job, but just in terms of the hustle and the hassle.
Yes. And the assumption was that you were one of them.
Yes, well, not necessarily, but it's just, from the question that I understand you're asking is, do a lot of people be like, oh yeah, I'll give you a job if you do a little, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And not at all, not at all.
Yes.
I'm very down to earth, I'm very straightforward, and it's just, this is what I want.
Right.
If you're able to do it, then that's great. If not, that's also fine.